great to be here. And I want to thank you. I'm very excited for the opportunity to come and share this report with you. I have a large background in marketing and business development, nonprofit management. So I was able to take a lot of those skills and put together what I think is a really nice report, the culmination of a lot of time and work. And I also want to compliment Secretary of State's office for the insight to do this, because as we'll talk about, there are a lot of things going on in bingo, pull tabs in the country, and there are so many different perspectives across the board. I've talked to a lot of different states, I've talked to a lot of people, and it's really interesting. And I think this is going to be a fun presentation for you. There's a lot of great information here. We know a lot about bingo now. As I said at the last meeting here, I think we now have more information on bingo and good, solid insights from charities, operators, hall owners than anybody in the country. We have really, really good, solid data. Now, in this presentation, I'm going to attempt to present a considerable amount of information. There are 4 separate research studies that were conducted, information and data from each. There are over 40 slides here from a much, much larger report. So I'm going to go really quickly through the data and get to the recommendations, which I'm sure you're all interested in. Mike mentioned the reasonableness filter. My job was to come in and present what I think are good ideas and concepts moving forward, and it's up to everyone to put those through a reasonableness filter and decide which actions can move forward. So, our agenda, we're going to go through the research steps, the recommendations, and the next steps is basically what we're going to do. Now, in Colorado, bingo is best described as a tough situation and a tough business. You know, the economy, increasing costs, lower margins, lower participation, aging players, declining volunteer support. These are all issues that have impacted the bingo area. There are similar issues in other states, and everyone is struggling. In other states, seemingly, some of them don't seem to care. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. They don't care that bingo is declining. And then there are other states that are in a more progressive, forward-looking posture, such as us here. So the problem statement we constructed at the beginning was we want to more fully understand the factors behind the participation and business declines in the nonprofits division, specifically as it relates to bingo. And then we want to consider options to support and contemporize the bingo program. Our objective was to conduct an analysis of trends and a user analysis of bingo and support participation while also improving net profitability for charities. And our goals are still being developed. This is something in the very first meeting I says, where are we headed, where do we want to go? Now that we have this good solid information, one of the next steps that is being considered are what are the goals and what are some good solid metrics and measures that we can incorporate moving forward. So as we move forward, let's just go ahead and look at some goals and actions from a very, very high level, and then I'm going to get into some of the research. First, we wanted to develop specific and measurable goals for bingo, and that's what I just talked about. We want to really set that roadmap for the future. Where do we want to go? We need to increase the size of the player pool, obviously, and finally, we need to increase the number of licensees. There's more. These are the really high-level issues. Some of the actions that we've talked about. Number one, provide additional resources for charities. You know, bingo is a big business. $35 million or so wagered in 2012 in Colorado. Charitable gaming over $100 million and a net of about $20 million. Bingo lags in the net profit percent. So we believe that charities need some help in running the business. So that's one of the things that we're going to talk about. We also found some issues between bingo halls and the charities. Louder? I feel like I'm shouting. You want me to, would this help if I clip this on too? Okay, I'll turn up the volume just a little bit. We found some issues between the operating relationships between bingo halls and charities. This is one of the reasons, not the reason. This is one of the reasons why many nonprofits don't conduct bingo anymore. And we're going to talk more about that in a few minutes. Compliance. Compliance is viewed as cumbersome. There is a one-size-fits-all approach, right? Head nods. And this may limit bingo participation by some smaller charities. The tone of the oversight, and I also want to stress that when I talk about the tone of oversight, I'm not talking about staff, I'm talking about rules and regulation and verbiage in the rules and regulation, like remuneration is one that always comes up. That's viewed as negative. And so that whole issue of rules, complexity, and tone is a large issue. Another one of the actions, and I found this in talking with some other states. Other states really spend a lot of time working with their suppliers to help build bingo programs that are appropriate for a particular state. And one of the suggestions that I have is to develop that partnership relationship with the suppliers to develop programs and issues or programs and ideas that might be more appropriate for the state of Colorado. Last, people just don't know about bingo, okay? They don't. They don't know that bingo is there's a charitable connection with bingo. They don't know that. And when they do, guess what? They want to play bingo. So this points to, and I'm going to talk more about this because this is one of the key things that I want to focus on. These are all key things, but this is one that's really important to me. But I think there's really a need for a bingo communications and marketing campaign to help promote bingo as a charitable activity and to increase the awareness of bingo as a fun social activity for a broader audience, okay? Lots to do there. So let me talk about the research steps. So those are just kind of some of the really high-level things, and as we go through here, we'll talk about some data, but now you get to watch me go through about 20 data slides. Aren't you excited? But here's the research steps that we took. We completed, I think it was 16 or 18 one-on-one interviews with staff, charities, service providers, and bingo halls. So I've touched all of the key people. I went out and did some field visits. I visited a bingo hall, and I also visited a bingo supplier a few times. So I've been out and I've talked to a lot of people. Then I talked to states. I went to the NAFTM information and I looked at the top states in bingo, and I contacted the key executive at about 8 states to talk to them about future practices, what they're doing, are they thinking about bingo in the future, and some of them really don't, like I said, some of them are just riding that product life cycle decline, others are really building new programs and ideas. We did 2 quantitative research studies. The first was with charities, bingo hall service providers. Everybody got it that's in this room. Everybody filled it out, right? So this was a great report. We sent that out to over 1,500 records, and we had 361 responses. Huge interest in this project and in this study. Step 2, we went out and we purchased a panel sample of people that play bingo, that gamble, that do those types of activities, and we received 271 responses from them. So I added these up last time, but we've talked to a lot of people. So we have really good, solid information. So let's talk.